Morning. Welcome to Caffeinate Your Career. Today's topic, how to reduce stress
with financial success.
That's right. I'm your host, the career coach with the most, Jason Hopper. With me today is the fantastic financial coach, Brenda Butnick.
Brenda, morning, everyone.
Welcome back to Caffeinate Your Career.
Good to be back.
I know, it's been a moment since you've been on the live stream.
At least a few weeks.
Well, that's right. You were here for the, we did the interview.
The Star Stories.
Yeah, the Star Stories.
Yeah,
how to do
yeah,
Star
yeah.
Stories. Yeah. So, I'm checking to see if we are live, and it appears that we are. So, great. Guys, if you are watching live, and get active in that chat. If you will ask questions, and I will monitor that. Also, I want it noted that me and you did a good job coordinating and wearing our white JFS shirts today.
Woo!
So we got it together today.
We're very fashionable.
Let's talk stress, Brenda. What causes stress?
A lot.
A lot.
A lot of things cause stress.
A lot of things cause stress. And we're gonna go over things that could possibly cause stress. The first, of course, be like some personal stress, like injury or illness, pregnancy or becoming a parent, loss of friends and family, experiencing abuse, being a victim of a crime, organizing an event. Just before I hit go to go live, I'm like, I'm stressed out now. It maybe just getting everyday chores done, and maybe even traveling. I know for me, so I'm a big planner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like and I show clients my calendar, for what I'm doing during the day, just all the time. I'm just open with showing them what's going on, and like everything is calendared, right? And when I don't have a plan, that's when things just start to really stress me out. And it can be even like, okay, so I am gonna get off work, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna talk to my family.
Good plan.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go walk. I'm a big walker, and I'll go walk, and then I'll come back, and then I'm gonna, sit down and watch TV or whatever I'm gonna do. So, I even just like in daily stuff, I have an idea, and then like, if something goes off kilter, it throws all of my plan off, and that just stresses me the hell out.
Well, I think calendaring your life, your events, your daily activities is so important. It is for me. I know I have to be able to look at my calendar, make sure where I'm supposed to be at any given time, and it really helps. For me, it helps reduce stress as well. Some of the personal stressors that you mentioned, the injury and illness, I mean, that can cause huge amounts of stress, mainly because if somebody's working, the loss of income, that can be a result of that.
Yeah.
So that is a huge stress factor. We see many clients that have suffered financially due to car accidents, of course, unanticipated illness themselves or family. They've had to leave jobs to help family, take care of loved ones. So that is a huge stress factor. And then it leads to financial distress.
In that group of things that we just mentioned, the other thing that that distresses me out is traveling. I love to travel, and we will usually go on like 3 vacations a year. But like, what stresses me, I am a nervous flyer. Like I understand, the engines and how the thing mechanically how it works, but also in my head I'm like, this is just a giant metal death tube that I'm in, and it should not be in the sky, right? Like we are.
How are we in the air? How is it keeping us?
Well, actually, it's not. You know what? It's so if statistically, if anything is going to happen on the plane, it's either going to be a takeoff or landing.
I have heard that.
Right? So it's like, well, before once the plane gets in the air, I'm like, all right, I can relax and put my earbuds in and listen to my music and sleep.
And then it goes bump.
Well, yeah, there's turbulence. I'm like, oh no, this metal death tube is about to fall from the sky.
Well, I think we know too much now. Like when we see reports of doors flying off and bolts flying off, it kind of increases our anxiety.
Yeah.
You know, the anxiety we already had, and then, you mean a door can fly off? Oh, okay.
You get sucked out of an airplane.
Yeah.
Like it's a metal death tube.
Yeah. So
Stresses me out.
We're way too smart now. We know too much about what can happen.
And once I get to the location, like I'm fine, and I'm fine. Like up until that point, it's just like take off and landing. I'm like, not gonna do it. Friends and family can be stressing, right?
Yeah.
Like getting married or getting divorced, difficult relationships with parents or siblings or even kids. My kid doesn't stress me out a lot. He does drive me crazy because like he will go and eat at the table, right? And then he just leaves everything there. He just he's like he's done eating, like see ya, and he just like wanders off. And I will come back. I will come back, roll through the dining room like, all right, you left the milk and the cereal like come put that away. That is, it does stress me out, but it just drives me crazy.
Yeah. And some of the other things you mentioned, like the getting married, it's so important. I know a lot of people go through like counseling with their religious advisor before they get married, and that can help reduce stress. Another important thing to do before you get married is to figure out how you're going to handle financials. So, like, is it going to be separate accounts? Is it going to be combined accounts? Who's going to pay the bills? Whose salary goes where? That kind of thing. So, I know we work with a lot of people where, it's separate. A lot of people have it together. A lot of people, just the other person handles it all and they don't have any accounts or whatever to worry about. So it's what works for you and what works for the individual. But that could be a huge relief of stress if you actually talk about that before getting married. And then there's the getting divorced piece. Like 38% of all marriages end due to financial stress.
How many?
38%.
Wow.
Due to financial stress. So it's always been that way. I mean, it's been like that for years. And it's true. It's just a huge factor. Most people fight about, first top of the list thing they fight about is money.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, the arguments and the issues.
Do you have money rules at like your house?
We just do everything joint. Like everything is known by both of us. Paying the bills. Like, everything's just joint.
It's
very open.
We have a joint account, but it's like money rules because the rule is if it's going to be more than $100. You need to let the other person. Now I'm not talking about bills, right? Like it's like if you go on a shopping spree or it's treat yourself day and you just like go all in, the other person has to know.
Okay, right? That's a good rule.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like I don't want to come home one day and be like, where'd the couch go? There's a whole new couch, right? It's like I don't like this couch.
That's a good joint decision when the couch is involved. Yeah, definitely. Shopping and things like that. It's good communication.
Other stressors, employment and study. We see this a lot. People being unemployed, they lost their job or they're about to start a new job. Long-term unemployment kicks in. It's interesting. We actually made it a topic of the live stream at one point because we had. I had a client and we got on the call on the Zoom and she was super excited because she just landed a new job and was going to start Monday. And I'm like, oh, great. In my head, I'm like, this is going to be a really short call. And she's like, can we still keep this meeting? Because I have a lot of questions. Like, what on my first day at work? Like, and I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, sure. And it was like, again, getting the job was done. I was on luck. It was just like, okay, now I'm starting a new job. And how's that going to go, right? And so we talked about, tactics for your first day at work because it was stressing her out. And then, we have a lot of clients too. You're unemployed, and not only are you unemployed, but you have the fear, right? Like, can I pay my rent? Can I pay my electric bill? Do I have money for food?
Mhm.
Right? And so, in addition to trying to do everything that you're supposed to be doing for the job search, you have the other bit, you have the fear that's hanging around as well, adding to our already stressful situation.
So yeah, I mean, what happens is a lot of our clients wait until their unemployment money runs out to come talk to us, and that's kind of way too late. So
Oh,
like,
yeah.
if you have 6 months usually of unemployment, so those 6 months could be while you're collecting unemployment, you could really help yourself by calling us, helping your career coach start working with you, financial coach start planning your financials of how much money you need to make to live successfully, live sustainably. So that's like really like a proactive approach. Like, okay, I just got laid off. I need an accountability partner. I need help, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So many times we're like, why didn't they call us 6 months ago? Why didn't they come in 6 months ago? They probably could have had a job by then and not have that lack of income when the unemployment runs out. So yeah, it's a huge stressor, and people usually just thinking, oh, I'm gonna get a job, I'm gonna get a job, I'm gonna get a job, and we all want to think that
Yes.
that's gonna happen, and then when it doesn't, it's like, okay, the money's gone.
Yeah.
The money ran out. So yeah, it's a tough situation, and it's a pride situation, but that's why we're here.
Yes. If you need help in your job search, you can give us a call at 972-437-9950, extension 379. Leave a message and somebody from the team will call you back in 24 hours.
Isn't that a good segue I gave you there?
That was a great segue. I knew it was the setup. Brenda's not new here. She knows how I work. But that's a really important part, because a lot of people, they don't understand how job search works.
Yeah.
Right? And you're right. They're on their UI benefits and they think, oh, I'm going to get a job. No, you're not. Because if you think the idea is you're going to get on a job board and you're going to apply to the job and the recruiter's going to call you and you're going to get an interview and then you're going to get hired, you're not. That's not how this works.
I mean, how often do you work with someone that says, well, I applied for 20 jobs yesterday?
Right.
And you're like, okay, time out.
Right. Well, I had a client like last year. He came and he sat down in my office and he's like, I think I'm doing something wrong. I'm like, what are you doing wrong? He goes, as of this morning, I've applied to 300 jobs and nobody's called me. And I'm like, you didn't figure out that it didn't work? Like,
After the first 100.
Yeah, after the first 100? That's not how this works.
Yeah.
And it causes, and that's a huge stressor, is that it's just the fact that people just don't understand job search. And then you're right, they wait way too long before they finally come to see us. You said it was a pride thing, right?
It is definitely, and it's a hopeful thing. Like, I know I applied for 20 jobs yesterday. Surely someone will call me, and like they just keep hoping, and before they know it, the unemployment's gone. And then there they are, like looking for urgent help. Like, I need a job. How many calls have you gotten like that?
Yeah.
I need to get a job.
Right. You need to put that pride to the side.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I was talking to Itzy. It's last week. Itzy is our new career and financial coach, and hopefully she's watching. Itzy, if you're watching, let me know in the chat. But what she said was, so she had left her other job because she just didn't feel like she was a fit. And she's like, okay, I have this much money, but if I have to, I'll just go back to bartending. It's like she already had she just didn't really care.
Yeah.
It's like, I just go do this. And a lot of people don't have that. I'm mentioning it because it is that attitude that makes the difference. Because oftentimes what happens is what you just described is people over and over and over just go and apply to jobs and nobody calls. And then they start to self-doubt. And then they start to go down that spiral, the downward spiral.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get back up out of it. I've seen so many clients over the years that come in and they are just beaten down. And they're beaten down by the process in the system. Yeah. And it's not their fault, except that they didn't call me earlier.
And that's the whole pride thing. Everyone thinks like, okay, I can do it by myself. But even if you're doing it by yourself and you see it's not working, definitely before the money runs out, it's a great plan B is to call us. And also what the next step is getting a new job, like on our list here.
Yeah.
And that also if somebody doesn't understand their budget and know what they need to make and what they need to earn to be sustainable financially,
Yes.
they're going to take a job that they can't afford.
Right, and that happens sometimes too. Is like, we want to make sure you find the right job, because if you just take any job that's offered to you and it's not a fit for you culturally, and it's not going to actually pay your bills,
Right.
there's not really a much point in doing it. You're going to be back on looking for work.
Yeah, and statistics show a person like that who knows they took a job for less than they can afford, they're going to be stressed every day at work. They're going to be getting phone calls possibly from creditors. They're going to be getting, bad information funneling through their head. And then they'll be like not functioning properly at work. And then they're going to be misstepping their responsibilities at work, get laid off, get fired, whatever. Yeah. And then they're back in that cycle again. Yeah.
Other things that can cause stress include housing, like poor living conditions, or even just moving, or problems with the neighbors.
Yeah.
Do you have problems with your neighbors?
We do not. We do not. But I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have quiet neighbors.
We do too. I just meant so the guy that's right next door to me, he just moved in 2 months ago. So he's new, and I got to meet him. And then I just met my neighbor across the street, who was also fairly new. I was walking the dog, and the dog just sat down in his yard. The guy came out of the front door. I'm like, please don't yell at me, because my dog is refusing to move at this point. And he just actually came out to introduce himself and pet the dog.
Nice. Okay.
Yes. Cornbread was very happy.
That's very cool.
Money.
Yeah. So going back to housing. If you have to move, it's super expensive.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about hiring a mover, getting a U-Haul, whatever it takes, moving across town, state lines. We've had a client recently do that. And she planned way, way, way ahead. And she had all the money saved up, which was really, really smart and proactive. And when it came time for the move, she was good. So planning ahead for a move is super important.
Yeah, I think, well, again, and I mentioned at the top of the show, is like I haven't done a plan for everything, right? We talk about money, which we're going to go into a little bit more detail, so we're going to skip that one. Social factors is another thing that can cause stress, including being discriminated against because of race or even sexual orientation.
Yeah.
And then you brought up something earlier as far as the social aspect goes that I didn't even consider, which is social media.
Absolutely. I mean, that's in the news every single day. These people who are doing violent things, in the schools a lot of times even, are a result of feeling beneath, not worthy of other people they see on social media. They don't have as good a life because when they look at social media, they think that the whole world is, doing great, and they're not, mentally, physically, whatever. And they have violent tendencies. A lot of these kids that have these, just depressions and violent tendencies are a result of social media. It's been proven. It's been stated.
Cyberbullying is definitely a thing. It is one of the things that I do worry about with our son, because he's 12 and he's had a phone for a while now. I did check. He does play some video games where he's on the headset and can talk to the other people. And it's just like, I just try and make sure, hey, is everything okay? That sort of thing. Yeah. But, to your point, you see posts on Instagram, it's like people in front of the private jet. It's like, and then you hear the stories, like, they just, hopped the fence and ran over there and took the picture of the private jet to make it seem like, they're rolling deep. But it's one of those things where, I'll give you another example, maybe they're just posting pictures of themselves as a family. It's like, oh, look how happy we are. And then firsthand, because that family is like, y'all ain't happy. Everybody in your house is sad. Like, I know this for a fact. It's just that perception, and trying to outdo somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, and it's all Photoshop. I mean, it's all out there, telling you what, it's all fake. I mean, most of it's fake stuff. And you're seeing these beautiful people. You're looking at movie stars every minute, following Taylor Swift. And, it's like people have these like multi-million dollar lives that you want. And if you don't have that, some people that are in a depressed state or, having, behavioral distress, they take action. And the social media pressures. In fact, there was they were talking about it this morning on one of the news shows. What age should a child even have a cell phone? What timing should they be cut off? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's serious. It's really serious stuff.
When do you think a child should have a cell phone?
They were talking about high school on the show. I think that's a bit late. I think
For today?
I think
Yeah.
middle school. I think middle school is good. Like
Yeah.
6th grade.
Tony has a phone. I think he's had it since 5th grade, maybe 4th grade.
Close, yeah. I mean, it depends on the need of the family. Like if you have somebody picking up your child, or your child's riding a bus, or you need to get in touch with them in an emergency, I get that.
Yeah.
But that's what the phone would be for if they're like younger than that, like not to be on it all night looking at social media.
Yeah. He's there's going to be a window of time here this evening. So I'm doing a presentation later at the workforce in Plano. Y'all in Plano, or even if you're not in Plano, if you're in Dallas, come see me. I'm going to be at the workforce in Plano at 1101 Resource Drive. That's Plano 75075, I believe. Just Google it. Ask Siri where the workforce in Plano is. She'll get you there. And I'm doing a presentation on how to build personal brand. It's going to be awesome. Okay.
Awesome.
So there's going to be a period of time where he's going to be by himself. And I asked him this. I told him this morning, it's like, here's the plan. Here's what's going to happen. He says, okay. And he goes, can I be on my phone at that time? And I'm like, yes, but you also have to make sure that you eat dinner, right? And that you do study, because he's got a test tomorrow. And he's like, okay. I was like, so I'm going to come back and you will be, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's a good point. So let's talk about money stress, because it is such a big factor. I'm gonna read this. I don't like to read it to you guys, but I want to make sure we get the statistics right. A recent CNN survey revealed that 71% of Americans identified money as a significant stress in their life. 71%.
It's huge.
That means like less than 30% don't really have a stress about it. Like that's almost everybody has a stress.
I mean, look at all the reasons we just went over
about money.
Like, people have those reasons in their life. We're living, breathing human, and all these reasons can affect you without any given notice.
Yeah, I think, and that's what's kind of worrisome. Is just like a kind of it's an ongoing stress, right?
Yeah.
And then. Other statistics, a recent survey conducted by the American Psychological Association indicates that as many as 8 out of 10 Americans are stressed because of money concerns. In addition, y'all ready for these stats? This is crazy. 50% are stressed about their ability to provide for their family's basic needs. 56% are concerned about job stability and workload. 60% feel angry and irritable. 53% feel fatigued. 53% say they lie awake at night with worry. 47% report having headaches. 35% report an upset stomach. And 34% increased muscle tension. So money stress. So what we just learned just then is that money stress leads to all these other things stressing you out.
Absolutely.
Which is basically big ball of stress.
A lot. I mean, physical, mental, it's a huge toll. It's a very, very huge toll.
So let's talk about money. We're going to talk about 9 stress-reducing truths about money. The first one being, you need less than you think.
That's a good thing.
So there's a lot of things that we think that we just can't live without. And these are things that are like luxuries to a lot of people in the rest of the world, like cell phones and cars and what was the other one? Oh, microwaves, shoes.
I like the shoes one.
Shoes.
I think that's more mandatory than I have shoes.
Depends on where you live.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you're in the civilized world, you probably need those things to get through your day. A lot of them, but it depends on where you live.
So spending less will help increase our finances. That's just basic, makes sense, right? If we like the less money we spend, that's more money that we have in the bank, right?
I mean, when you go back to those items, okay, most people need a car to get to work or need a car to function, pick up their children, whatever. But you don't have to buy the Lamborghini. You know, you can own a car that you can afford. You know, so you within those parameters, you figure out what you can afford and choose. So maybe you don't go to Neiman Marcus, maybe you go to Target or that kind of thing. So you work your needs into your budget of what you can afford.
Just take public transportation.
If it's getting you where you need to go.
I mean, like for cars and stuff. Like I'm not a big car guy at all. Like I just want a car to get me from A to B.
Right, but but if you were on public transportation from your house to here, it would probably take you 3 hours.
It probably would take a minute, sure.
Mm-hmm. So there's the advantage to having a car, some kind of car, right? In a city where public transportation isn't as prevalent, let's just say.
Right.
Like
Chicago.
Yeah.
Right. It's not, and it's
or
not,
New York. Yeah.
Or New York. Yeah. Or even San Francisco to some degree. Okay. Right? Well, you got the trolleys.
Yeah.
Right. Number 2, money won't make you happy. That's a big one because people think like when they get money, like all their problems are going to go away, right? Like because, you know, and I get that like having more money would seem like you have a lot less to worry about, but sometimes like the opposite is true.
It can create a lot more stress because then you have to make big decisions, and there's lots of people knocking on your door trying to help spend your money.
Right.
So you know, then you got a lot of other things to worry about, like what to do with the money, where to invest the money, who to leave the money to, put it into an estate, put it into a trust. So when it's a lot of money, it can cause stress.
Well, that's the other thing. Like if you don't have money or money is really tight and then something happens, like you either get a new job with or a promotion with a lot more money attached to it, or you know it's an unfortunate situation where somebody dies and leaves you money, and now like you feel like you're doing well, but still you have all this debt accrued that has been over here, right? Like you said, people are going to keep calling. It's not a thing that's going to continue a sustainable thing for happiness.
Yeah, I mean we have a number of clients that have inherited, you know, decent amounts of money from family who've died, and that's what they live on for maybe a year or more, and then you know what happens? The money runs out.
Yeah, it's not. They're like, here's your money. Bye. It's not like it keeps going unless you put it into an account where it accrues.
Yeah. So instead of continuing to work and put that money aside and invest it or save it, they just use it to live on. And then when the money runs out, we start working together.
Yeah. That's what you call Brenda. Number 3, money's not the greatest goal of your work. I tell clients like all the time, don't ever accept a position based solely on salary.
Right.
Yes, I understand you need a job. And we just talked, like you want to make sure that you can afford to have that job.
Correct.
Right? Because you don't want to get a job that's not going to pay you anything and or worth anything. It's to where you move on. Also, we get into like this. Sometimes I have clients that will want to try and negotiate their salary, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'm the coach that is going to tell you if it's within your range, right? It's like if your range is like 75 to 80K and they come back with 78, I'm not the guy to go, keep talking to them. Like, it's in your range. It's, take it.
Yeah.
No.
As long as they can, you know, afford their living expenses and, you know, save some money on the side.
I think too, like, you know, it's important to kind of like your job because you're there like 8 hours a day. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter how much money you're making if you're miserable in the work. in your job because you don't like it, or you don't like the people around you, or you're in a toxic environment, like there are options.
And you can kind of tell, like from the interview process, how the company's going to treat you, and you want to make sure the job responsibilities are something that you're going to be happy doing on a day-to-day basis. So if you want to do X, but the job requires you to do Y, you're going to be miserable the minute you step in the office.
Well, I think that's a great point. I think it's really important to ask culture-based questions when you're in the interview, just because it will give you a better idea and understanding, like you said, of how the company runs. And I think that that's kind of important. And it's one of the things that I coach clients on, because like one, not a lot of people are asking culture type of questions.
That's important.
And if you are some of the people that are asking culture based questions, then it sets you apart from the other candidates.
And if you're on LinkedIn, I mean, that's like the topic of almost 80% of the people posting is like the culture, you know, is what people are looking for today, not just a job. They want to be comfortable. They want to make friends in the environment. They want to be able to enjoy their day. Like you're working more than you're at home with your family. So you should hopefully find something that you're comfortable with, that even if it wasn't the top of your salary range and you can live on it, it can make for a happier life.
Yeah. And it's like sometimes too, it's like, you know, you need to ask like the hiring managers, like, what do you like best about working here? Right? It's like all the people.
Yeah.
They're like the people. We're like a family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't want to work with my family.
Well, you can tell too, like if you're in the interviewing process and they're being introduced to the team beforehand, they're trying to figure out if the team likes you. Sometimes they can make or break your job offer, but they want to see how you interact with the team. A lot of times you'll be at a round table where the team will be involved, and you know they'll be like checking to see how you fit in.
It's funny because I finished up with a client, and I opened up my office door, and just then at that point, Allison was with Itzy, who, you know, again is our newest member of the team, and she goes, "Oh, and this is Jason. He does our podcast." And then she turned around and like moved, and I shook her hand. And I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, I do a little bit more than just that.
That's just an hour.
It's like, yeah, this is like that's what I do Tuesdays at 10 to 11, but that's not. I do a lot more around here.
That's your claim to fame,
I suppose. So it does say in my LinkedIn headline, certified career coach and podcaster at Jewish Family Service.
Okay.
Number 4 would have to be more money, more problems.
Absolutely.
You know, it's interesting because, you know, we think that, and we talked just a second ago, we think that like if we have money or we have more money, that we don't have as many things to worry about. And actually the opposite can be true.
Absolutely. And it can create isolation. It can create anxiety. You need to have, network of people who can help you understand what to do with that money. If you've inherited a large sum, or you're changing jobs and your salary is increasing or doubling, you know, how are you going to organize your life and not feel anxious about it?
And that's the other, like the maladjusted children was the other thing like you didn't worry about. But it's just that you could the more money you have could distort the empathy, right? And I think it's always a really cool thing when people like give back, especially like you know, to us in our organization and things that we do here. It's like coming up Thursday, woman to woman.
Woman to woman.
That's right.
Annual fundraising.
That's right. And so you know, I think that's always an important bit as well. Number 5 is a desire for riches robs us of life. If money is the root of all evil and we are in pursuit of it all the time, that can be stressful.
Absolutely. Chasing the dollar can really cause stress. So, you know, if we give more time to our family, more time to our social life, our community charity events, company nonprofits that we want to help and work with. It's not all about giving money; it's about giving time.
Yeah.
So chasing the dollar can take up a lot of your time, versus you can use that time much more nobly.
Well, it's one of the things that I recommend to clients. Like if it's like your third month and you're still unemployed, you need to go volunteer somewhere. Not only are you giving back and doing something nice, but also you're talking to other people and you're networking and like who knows, it could turn into like that's how Jill got hired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Allison too, when she started
Allison,
here.
Kristen,
Yeah.
when Kristen was
Yeah.
here, that's
Yeah.
how she got hired. She
Yeah.
was volunteering in
Yeah.
the food pantry.
Yeah.
Started talking to Mitch. Mitch like, oh, you're a career coach and like Kristen goes,
Yeah.
I mean, and you get to update your resume.
Yep. And it's called networking. You meet more people, and those volunteers, you don't know who they know.
That's exactly correct. Number 6 is boundaries. Set a budget, stay in it.
That would be an ideal situation.
And that's what you help a lot of
Right,
people with, right?
Exactly. And that's probably easier said than done, because it really takes a commitment to be able to really know that your budget is accurate, know that it's livable, and know that you can live within it. I mean, there's going to be things like extra things like, kids' activity at school, or, a Boy Scout, a Girl Scout event, or, activities that you have to pay, dance lessons, gymnastics, whatever it is. And those are going to be put into the budget if you know about them. But then there's going to be some extra things. Maybe Tony will come home one day and say, oh, I need $50 for this event. I want to go. Well, that may not have been in your budget, but somehow you make it work because the budget has already included savings and things as a cushion.
It's no fun to live beyond your means.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then number 7 we actually talked about just a minute ago, which is to give it away. It's also nice to donate to people. Number 8 is the security found in possessions is fleeting. We almost always want the new thing. Like, oh, I want to get the new cell phone, or oh, I want to get a new pair of shoes, or I want, whatever it is. But after you get it, after a while, it's just like, it's not as exciting.
You just have a lot of things.
You're just chasing the thing, and you get the thing, and now it's just like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Right?
And who are you trying to impress? I mean, at that point.
The people on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
those people that don't really matter in your life. Number 9, and this is the last point, and it's also a really important point, which is that money in itself is just a tool. It's just the means to the end. It's nice because we can buy couches and shoes and furniture and go out to eat and all the things. But when you look at it, it's just a means to an end to get you to something else.
Right. And, living comfortably is important. And that's what you have money for, to live comfortably. But, desperately trying to keep acquiring more and more and more when you're already comfortable, is a hard way to live.
Yeah. Brenda, so stress, money, final thoughts.
It's huge. I mean, it's every day. We see it every single day, in our own lives and our clients' lives. And, there's just ways to manage it is the bottom line, which is what we talked about today. Like, okay, here's the temptations, but here's the way to manage it. And that's what we're here for, to help people. And, there's lots of temptations out in the world to do things that, may not be necessary in your life to help you succeed. So it's definitely, financial stress is huge, as we
71%, right? That's crazy.
And causing family relationships. I mean, it's huge factors. Finances are the huge stressor.
And then it trickles down to like health issues.
Oh, definitely into health issues, stress related.
So, fun question for the day.
Oh.
I'm not gonna throw. Like Allison is still fuming. Not fuming, but she's like, really about the dog, about this fighting the dog, fighting a dog. All right, so we're getting close to summer. Do you have any summer vacation plans?
We do. Yeah, we're gonna take a car ride, a long trip to South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
We'll meet family and friends and spend a weekend out there. So that should be fun. We haven't done that in a really long
How long
time.
does it take to drive to South Carolina?
It's an overnight trip.
Oh.
So it's about like 14 hours.
Ugh.
Yeah, so not one day.
I hate
And
it.
I get in a car and I'm like, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
I don't like driving. I would be like, I don't know that I can make that trip.
Yeah, so
Like, good luck, you're on your own.
Yeah. What about you?
We are planning on going somewhere this summer. We haven't really locked down a destination. We try to go to places that we've not been to before. But or if it's been a few years, like, oh, it's time to go back to San Diego. But we don't have anything set yet.
Okay.
We're working on it.
We will. Yeah,
We're working on it.
It'll be here before you know it.
So, guys, this has been this week's Caffeinate Your Career. Next week, there will not be a live stream.
We will not be here.
We will not be here. We will be closed for Passover. And the week after that, we will be closed for Passover. So the next Caffeinate Your Career is actually going to be on May 7th. And Allison will be back, and we will be discussing job scams. There are a lot of scams out there. We'll talk about the different scams, how to recognize scams, what to do when you get into a scam, if you get into a scam. So that'll be on the 7th. So tune back in for that. Hope everybody has a great week. Brenda, thank you again for being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
And we will see y'all later. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.